Actually, it's quite good on the camera. Good evening, everybody. Just waiting for people to come in. Tonight, what I'm doing is we're going to have a chat with Brett when Brett comes on. As well as that, in the background, there's a light bit of white noise, and it's a scan between 15 and 16,000 kilohertz with no radio broadcasts on them. Hello, Gillian. How are you doing? Good to see you. I was just a little bit bored. And I decided to come on. I don't have any particular topic, but I'm actually waiting for Brett to come in. Paranormal Tech is in the house as well. Hello. What I'm actually doing tonight, we're going to have a chat with both Paranormal. I've been Skyping them over and back for a couple of hours, and we decided, do you know what, we'll just go live. And along with that, I'm going to do an unboxing of one of my cameras. And as well as that, lightly in the background, I am scanning between 15 and 16,000 kilohertz on a shortwave band with no radio voices. And, you know, I'm going to review this whole stream, no matter how long it takes, and see if we pick anything up with that. Because if we pick up something with no radio voices on those frequencies, you know, it's pretty good. So I'm just waiting for Brett to come in. Hope everybody is doing well, and hope everybody got through the storm okay. Yesterday it was pretty bad here. We had lightning actually, and rain and that, and it's starting to brighten up today, but the rain has come back and that. Haven't been well for a number of weeks, so I haven't been out, but I feel like I'm sort of getting there, and hopefully getting there soon. Just pop in for a minute. Okay, that's grand. Thanks very much, Paranormal Tech. Yeah, I'm just waiting for Brett to come in. We're going to have a little chat and stuff like that. I had a couple of comments in my comment section. Oh, it's bingo night. I had one or two comments in my comment section tonight, or the last couple of days, on previous explorers, and I'm still getting comments in that. And you know, sometimes when these people come on, you know, they have had something to do with the place that I filmed, and they can fill me in on some history. And you know, I just want to talk about that as well, you know. Is the other camera going? It's still going, yeah. You know. Hello, Rose. How are you doing? Hope you are well. As it says tonight, I'm doing a live chat, hopefully with about paranormal. We're due to come on here at 8 o'clock, and the scheduled stream didn't come through. The little bit of white noise you hear in the background is me scanning between 15 and 16,000 kilohertz. There is no radio broadcasts on the frequencies that I'm scanning on. So if you know, I'm just going to do this stream, and then I'm going to review and see if we come up with anything interesting on it. Because if we get something on frequencies with no radio stations in them, it's pretty good. Thank you very much, Brendan, for the shout out on your video. You know, I really that cheered me up on a day that it was a bit challenging for me, you know. And you know, I really appreciate you giving me a shout out, along with those other teams. And you know, I thought, you know, it just turned my evening around, you know. Really, really appreciate it, you know. And as I says, you know, no matter what other people do, I'm just going to stick with being as truthful as possible. And, you know, people might, you know, might get caught up in YouTube and stuff like that. I'm just going to document what I do. I'm not going to clickbait. I'm not going to try and entertain as such, you know. I'm just going to do what I do, and that, and hopefully when I get better, I'll be back out again. You know, I love being out. I just do not like being stuck in the house, you know. I don't know where Brett is, but he will hopefully come in very, very soon. You know. Oh yes, good luck win big. It's bingo night, bingo night. Documentation. Yes, I mean, like, you know, these channels that I have, I have this, and I have a second channel called Foil Paranormal Investigators. Like, and if I want to do Spurt Box session and that, you know, and I feel like doing it, you know, sometimes on this channel people get a little bit pissed off if I do too many Spurt Box sessions. So I have that channel as my sort of my holiday home. I can go there when I want and upload whatever I want, you know, so I don't overrun this with Spurt Box sessions. And, you know, sometimes I'm doing Spurt Box sessions here at home simply because I can't get out. I would rather be out, you know, but, you know, yeah, you know, I'm actually going to put the, I'm going to put the chat link in the chat, and, you know, of Orbs Realm, Brendan, if you feel like you want to come on, you don't have to put on the camera, chat for a while. You're welcome to do so, or anybody else that's in the chat here at the moment, you know. You know, Brett is popping in. He actually supposed to be on the stream with me. He was having something to eat, and I set up a scheduled stream, and somehow it messed up on me. So I don't know what went wrong there, you know. But yeah, I mean, I hope everybody got through the storms okay, and that, and you know, obviously it hinders our getting out and getting investigations done. But I mean, like, spring is around the corner, so we are going to go to some nice places this year, hopefully different places than last year, you know. Brett is coming on in 5 minutes. That's fine. That's grand. You know, that's fine. Yeah, Brett recently moved house, and that's why he was off air for 4 weeks. But he came back on Sunday night to do his card readings and that, and I think Friday night he'll be back again. As far as I know, he's back into the swing of things anyway. He had to transfer his internet from one house to the other, and that took time. So that will have him back up and running. And, you know, the back end of last year, you know, between myself, Andy, and Brett, and that, there's, you know, there's this kind of community going on here, and, you know, I think that's great, you know, that we can communicate with each other and stuff like that, you know. Julie, hello, Julie. Do you know that we can sit down and have a chat? I would definitely come on next time. Would love to chat with you, but for now, I'll just listen for your majestic voice. Listen to your majestic voice. Thanks very much. But you're welcome anytime. And actually, I'd love to speak to you about your experiences. And actually, if you're not subscribed to Orbs Realm, go over there, give him some support, give him some love every time he comes on. And a lot of the times when he comes on, he may be talking about something, and actually there's orbs traveling around the room. It's quite amazing. And actually, what's even more amazing is, it's filmed basic. Do you know there's no fancy editing? He sits down in front of the camera, he just turns the camera on and films. There's no jump cuts, no edit. It's just pure and simple and that. And to have these orbs traveling around them, it's quite amazing. What's tonight's topic? Actually, I'm just winging it at the moment. I have an unboxing to do here of a camera. I have a couple of comments that was in my comments, sent comments. I had some sent comments the last couple of days, and those comments relate to previous videos where I went to and explored and investigated. And sometimes when comments come up, those comments are comments from people that have some relation to that particular place in that. And that's where the information starts coming in. I don't get troll comments as such, and to me it's not productive. But I do get some comments with some information on that particular places that I go to, and it's quite fascinating. Blood X, hello Blood X. Great to see you, and thank you very much for dropping in. I really appreciate it, and I really appreciate what you do for the YouTube community and helping people grow and that. And I want to thank you for helping me for where I am today. And actually, I'm thanking everybody. We don't have a huge community, and in a way I don't want it. I have a nice community here, and I'm really appreciative of that. And it's a great place to come to. I'm just getting into the gist of going live and that. And every so often when I do go live and that, it just brings the community together and people can talk to each other. Even if they are not listening to me, I hope you're doing well, and really appreciate you coming in, and especially you go and you support people back and that, and by dropping in you're showing that support to me, and I really appreciate that. Right, think I'm ready. I'm gonna do the risky thing of putting in the link so Brett can call into the waiting room and get this conversation going, because talking to myself is very difficult, or talking just directly to a chat that's not talking back to me. It's nice to have two people interacting and speaking, so that's why Brett is coming in today. We've been messaging over and back on Skype there, and we might as well be talking to each other straight face to face. So just setting this up now. Here we go. Hello.
Hi Sam.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Not so bad. Not so bad. I'm going to turn this down slightly.
Hang on, I'm just popping up the chat so I can see what's going on in there. There we go. Sorry, I lost track of time.
I actually had a stream already set up, and actually it didn't show up on YouTube.
All
And
right.
when I went back to it, it said it was scheduled, but when I went live, it went private, and I actually was a couple of minutes late myself. So, you know, I just have to get used to the ins and outs of that, you know, because I wanted to set up a thumbnail, turn on monetization, put in a description there, put in some tags and stuff like that. What you normally do when you're uploading a video. But as it is, I had to get rid of that stream and start again, you know?
Yeah, the problem I have with the Streamlabs is when you set one up, if you just do one log ad hoc, it creates a second one as well. So when you go in your video list, it shows, even after it's finished, it shows as one awaiting to be started. So you have to delete that one. That's why I tend to schedule mine now, because it stops that happening then.
Oh yeah, so you have one that's live and the other one is just dormant?
Yeah, it just sits there dormant, saying that, you know, it ain't been broadcast yet, so you have to delete it. Glad you enjoyed your reading last night, Julian. Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, that was a good show last night. You know, I do enjoy the chats afterwards, you know.
Yeah, they get a bit crazy sometimes, so.
Yeah, but I mean, like, you know, you're talking to people face to face rather than just, you know, texting and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And you know, in a way, it's engaging with your community, and it's the more engaging you are with the community, the closer that community is, you know.
Yeah, I've always said, Sam, I'd rather keep my channel small and with people in it who I know than have a big massive channel and just have people on there who, you know, you've never met.
Yeah. I mean, like you're scrolling through the chat is flying, and you're missing out on comments. And actually, you know, since growing as far as I have, it's sort of starting to happen, and that.
Mm-hmm.
And when you get to that level, you often get people come in that you haven't seen before, you know.
Yeah.
Do you know? Because, you know, at the moment, my channel is growing at the average of 60, you know, 60 in 28 days. So I don't know who, you know, is. You know, there's always surprises every time you come on, you know.
Yeah, you get all sorts of people. I always tend to check my subs and try and say hello to them as they join.
Yeah.
You know, it's the same if people comment in the videos. I always like to respond to them. You know, I think if people have took the time to say something to you, it's just polite to answer.
Oh yeah.
That's a nice background, Sam.
That actually is a picture from Grand Theft Auto. But the thing is, I actually painted that myself.
All right.
You know, it was simple shading in that, so it was an easy thing to do. I'm not great with hands or fingers, so our fingers are a little bit. But you can see the shading there is very, very simplified, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why it was an easy painting to do. I think it was Grand Theft Auto 3, I think it came from.
All right.
You know, and I actually had to paint a couple of copies of that because people had wanted them, but that was about, I think it was 2008. You know?
Yeah. I've got to be honest, Grand Theft Auto was one game I never really got into. My son used to love it, but it was one game I just never got into.
I like just driving around with the cars and that, you know?
Yeah. I think he used to like driving around and jumping out the car and hitting the hookers with a baseball bat. I think he used to find that funny.
Yeah, I used to like doing the stunts, you know, the jumps and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Or driving around with a fire engine and just running into cars and see how far I can fling them.
Oh yeah, that was the sort of thing you used to do. See how long it took him to wreck half the city and get the police after it.
Yeah.
Terry L. I ain't very good at controlling car games.
Yeah. Terry L is in the house. Hello, how are you? Actually, just to remind people that are coming in, there's a slight bit of white noise in the background of the audio, and actually, I am actually recording this for the other channel with a microphone on it. What I'm doing is I'm scanning between 15,000 and 16,000 kilohertz on the shortwave band, which hasn't got any radio frequencies on them, so there shouldn't be any radio voices. And I'm going to review that whole thing and see if we come up with anything, because if something comes up on that with no radio broadcast, that's going to be pretty good, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So what we're doing here is we're just gonna talk and have a chat and stuff like that. The experiment is going on in the background, and what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be reviewing the whole stream and see if anything comes up in that white noise, you know. Because I'm experimenting, you know, along with using the Spirit Box. You know, I'm kind of gone back to old methods as well with white noise experiments as well. So you know, I just thought I would give this a shot tonight as well. You know,
you know, proper old school stuff.
Yeah, well, you know, I'm looking forward to getting my white noise generator sorted out and that. You know.
Mm-hmm. Have you managed to get a plug for it yet?
No, but I hardly been out of the house.
Oh, right.
You know, I must order a socket for it and that, and see what I can do. I'm still searching for a lead, so I wouldn't have to go down that route, but it's very highly unlikely because it's specialized, you know.
Is there no way? Is there a manufacturer's name on there, a company or anything?
There is, but most likely, you know, the company may not exist anymore.
Yeah, it might be worthwhile googling it and seeing if it's seeing if, you know, they're still going and seeing if they can supply you with one.
Yeah, I might do that actually, you know. I might do that. Look. Yeah, I might do that actually, you know. Yeah, it was a good old chat last night actually.
Oh, and Sonny's a games tester. I'll tend to beat test MMO, well, what they call MMORPGs. The big things like World of Warcraft and stuff like that. I've done it for years.
Yeah, Anne Reed says my son is a gamer tester for Grand Theft Auto developers. His name will be in the credits. That's pretty interesting, actually. Mm-hmm. I have Grand Theft Auto 5, but it's for the Xbox 360, but the controller is broke at the moment. But you know, I still run everything off the PlayStation 2, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, PlayStation 2, the old PlayStation.
Yeah, the old PlayStation.
I'm not a huge gamer. I would often find some of these PlayStation games in a charity shop, and I'll buy them for the sake of it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll play them old games, but I've never played anything online or anything like that, you know.
Yeah.
Do you know? Yeah, we were having a typing conversation about, you know, comments that we get on videos and stuff like that. And I had an interesting comment during the week about the abandoned hospital that I originally done some explore videos on, you know, and the comment was that this lady left a comment and says the cream colored building beside the red brick building, which I've been in a number of times, but I was actually in the cream building, and the cream colored building was actually a nursing home, and her husband was a nurse that worked in that hospital, and on occasions would see a hooded figure walking around in the premises.
Did she say whether it was male or female, Sam, or did she just say hooded figure?
Just a hooded figure, so it could have been a, you know, it could be a shadow figure or whatever, you know.
Has that place always been an hospital, or has it been something else in the past?
No, it was a hospital from 1905, I think.
Yeah.
Until recently, and just before it closed, it was used. The red brick building was used as a college, as a secondary school.
Yeah.
Until they built a secondary school down below, on a vacant piece of land. And I actually, one day when I was there, when I was on the way back from investigating there, I was talking to a former student, and he said that he always felt very uncomfortable inside the building, that he felt that there was something going on there. And every time I've been in there, something has happened, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You know, thing was, I was only able to get into two of the other buildings, and one was a kind of a community hall. One of them was a community hall, and the other was a residential home. And what they basically done was, when a lot of these mental health patients went back out into the community, and less institutional, you know, and less, you know, the health service went less down the road of institutionalizing people.
Yeah.
And more people went into the environment, into proper, you know, back into proper families and had support outside. These buildings weren't needed, so they were sealed up with equipment in it and everything like.
All right, so they just left them as they were and closed them up.
Yeah, I mean, like one of the buildings I was in, there was this sensory room with lights all over it, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, there was a computer room with a computer in it and everything. There was gym equipment and things like that. And in the nursing home, a lot of the equipment was all still there: beds, Zimmer frames, wheelchairs, ECG machines, all sorts of stuff.
So what was in the building where that woman's husband used to see the figure?
And that was the nursing home. I found ECG machines, or machines which, do you know the machines where you put the little pads on and you can read the heartbeats and stuff like that? There was a machine like that still in the building. There was medication of some kind. I don't know what it was. In, you know, Tetra Packs, still in presses in the kitchen and stuff like that. Beds, wheelchairs, Zimmer frames, paintings. You know, paintings from the patients, you know, still lying around or still on the walls, stuff like that.
And how long has it been closed?
I don't know. It's been closed, I'd say, over 10 years.
So it's still fairly modern equipment then in there.
Yeah. But you know, a lot of these places, they just, they don't even clean them out. They just seal them up.
Yeah, just lock the doors and leave them.
Yeah. You know, and actually, there's an ambulance station down there, and there's actually a swimming pool as well. I actually got into the ambulance station, so that means I
thought you were going to say you got in the swimming pool then.
No, I'd love to see the swimming pool, but that's not, you know, it depends when somebody tears off a piece of wood off the window or something, you know.
Yeah.
The only way I can get in is if somebody else has broken an entry, and if the building is unsealed, I can get in. But I'm not going to do the breaking and entry myself. It's not, you know, it's against what we do, you know. But if there's a breach, if somebody has breached this before, you know, I used to go in, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like,
we're the same. Where we went to that fairy garden with Andy, that house was actually subject to a big fire, and that was all obviously boarded off. But the day we went there, somebody had levered the wood off the door, and we were going to go in and do a recording inside there, but time restraints meant we didn't. But Jace is really adamant he wants to go in there for some reason and do an investigation. So next time we go back there, as long as he's still off, we'll probably do some work inside there. We're on the same, you know, if the door's boarded up, we won't go in. If it's still open, then yeah, it's fair game then.
Yeah. But 9 times out of 10, the places I go into, somebody has come in and try to burn the place down.
Yeah, I think there's very few derelict buildings now that ain't accessible to people one form or another. Because somebody always finds some way of breaking in.
And actually, you know, it came to the point where you know, some of the doorways were, you know, boarded up with concrete blocks.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that they were done, it was basically just filled in the doorway. They didn't merge the concrete block with the wall itself.
Yeah.
So those blocked up doorways were not supported.
Mm-hmm.
And people would just run along and just fling their foot up against it and knock it straight over.
Yeah, lever it off.
Yeah, because the concrete blocks was not merged in with the walls surrounding it, so there was no way that it was fully supported. So it was just a matter of coming along, just kicking it, and that's what I've seen.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but I wouldn't resort to that myself. You know. But
did you get much communication in that hospital, Sam?
That hospital is actually the first place where I got communication when I wasn't looking for it.
Is that where you got that EVP?
Yeah. When I did first went down the paranormal route, I was really, really bad at filming and bad at incorporating equipment into the investigation. So it's a bit of a cringy video, but I actually went in there with one of them plastic parabolic microphones, actually.
Yeah.
And at one stage, down at the end of the hall, there was noises, and there was a kind of a male-sounding voice, and this banging. Right. And I went down there, and the only place was the ladder up to the attic of it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't quite sure the noises actually coming from the attic, but the noises were all around me, and I actually was terrified because I was on my own. And
I presume the first thing you'd have thought was people were in there.
That's the first thing I thought, because, you know, the last thing you want is to go into a place and run into another human being, because, you know, not everybody is in there to just explore. That, you know, some of them are up to all sorts of devilment, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, they might be doing things illegally in secret, and you've come across them.
Yeah, you could have walked into a marijuana farm or anything.
Yeah, and, you know, if they're doing something illegal and you come across them, they're not going to be very happy with you, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah.
You know, so that is the fear. But I did get into the nursing home with an awful lot of risk to myself, because I seen the window, you know, from a distance. I was in the car and I was driving up the road.
Mm-hmm.
I seen the window was exposed, but the big catch was there was teenagers on the roof.
Oh, right.
And I had a bright yellow t-shirt on me. And I don't know how I managed to actually get into the building without being seen.
Yeah.
And the only time I was spotted was when I was 200 yards away on the way to the car. That's when I heard just somebody just somebody just left the building, like. You could hear the shouting and that. But these teenagers, while I was in that building, were running along the roof. You could hear it on video. And you could hear the nervousness in my voice.
Yeah, you took a big risk there, Sam.
You know, I wanted to show everybody inside this building because there may not be another opportunity, and I wanted to see it myself. And while that was going on, there was teenagers running up and down the roof. I can look back. I can look back now and laugh.
Yeah.
But you could hear the nervousness in my voice. I was shitting myself, and I was kind of whispering, "Guys, I'm shitting myself," you know.
See, my biggest dread is walking into some deserted building and finding a dead body in there. You know, maybe somebody homeless or something like that. It would be the last thing I'd want to do, is walk into a building and find a body in there.
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, with a big city or whatever nearby, there's always that risk.
Yeah.
Because people...
And the thing is, obviously, you're legally obliged to ring the police. And then you've got to explain to the police what you're doing in there. And then, you know, you've got to go through all the hassle of being interviewed over it and this, that, and the other. It just sounds more hassle than it's worth.
Yeah, but they... Oh. We have a little bit of an issue in the chat.
Yeah, I've been watching it. Somebody was asking for some.
All right. Well, we don't do that here. People get to know each other.
Yeah.
And that's how we grow. That's how we grow. We grow together. We don't beg. You know, we're not begging. That's not what we're about. You know. You know, you'll get that in every chat anyway.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, but you know, when it comes to a situation like that, and you do have to approach the police, and the police have to speak with you, the best thing to do is just, you know, just be honest.
Oh yeah, you're gonna be honest with what you do.
Because at the end of the day, you know, you're on a location to film and make a video. There's nothing, you know, there's nothing bad against somebody else by doing that. You know, you're not doing any harm to anybody. So you might as well, even if you are, you know, past trespassing signs, that's the least of your worries.
Yeah.
But if you bullshit to the police, you're going to walk yourself into a little bit more bother because they're gonna
think you've got something to do with it if you ain't up front.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. You know, the best thing to do is just to be completely upfront and honest, and you know the full reason why you're here, why you're there.
Yeah. Have you ever been in a place somewhere you thought, I've got to get out of here?
That I'll never get out of here?
No, you needed to. You thought, you know, I've really got to get out of here.
Only once, and that was because of structural integrity. I was upstairs in the house, and I was full sure that I was going to end up back downstairs
a lot quicker than you went up.
Yes. I was walking down the hallway, and the wood was cracking underneath me.
Oh God!
I'd
have been out of there.
You know, it was similar to, you know, Philip and Paranormal Tech situation, but you know he was in a bungalow. You know, it's one of those buildings where, way back in the old days, underneath the floorboards is just pure clay.
Yeah.
And you could go down about a foot or a foot and a half, and that's what happened to him at one stage.
Oh,
but I was upstairs. I actually was filming in another house, and I was actually in the kitchen, and there was some furniture in the middle of the kitchen. And I was wondering, this was kind of odd that this furniture was in the kitchen. And I turned my camera to myself when I was talking to it, and I looked in the background of the camera and discovered that actually the furniture was keeping up the floor.
You're joking.
Oh, the ceiling was down on top of the ceiling was right and down on top of these pieces of furniture. if those furniture fell over, the
The
whole
old
lot
roof.
was gone.
The old roof would
Yeah.
come in.
I
Jesus.
went upstairs, and the way to go up dodgy stairs is to go right at each corner and just go up with your legs apart. I was waddling up the stairs, and that particular room, the floor had fallen down a foot, where the floor joist was gone into the wood, but it had rotted around the outer walls, and that's how the floor collapsed. But it was a piece of furniture that actually was was a piece of furniture in the kitchen holding the ceiling up. And
so somebody had deliberately propped the ceiling up with it then.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. If somebody knocked over that piece of furniture, the whole thing was going to come down.
Jesus.
You know.
Have you ever been frightened? Have you ever been frightened out of a place, or felt that threatened that you've had to leave?
In a paranormal sense.
Yeah.
It was one time in the abandoned hospital in Derry, and that was the time when that was the time that I went down that hallway, and I could hear this knocking, this tapping, and it was increasing and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I said something, and it stopped, and then it started again. And I turned to the camera and says, I hope it's an animal or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it looked like I seen a ghost, and actually that wasn't all put on. I don't put on anything. That was genuine fear. But
what?
In that hospital, the downstairs floor, the bottom floor, all the windows are all blocked up with concrete blocks, so it's pitch dark.
Mm-hmm.
And there was one time where I was going around in circles and I couldn't find my way out. And my way out.
That's a bit freaky.
Yeah. Do you know? I have a bit of claustrophobic, tendencies and stuff.
On the same.
And a panic and that. But I went through over a year of exploring on my own. And it was pure curiosity that made me go into these, places that were possibly a bit scary. I went into a tree, an abandoned part of a hospital in broad daylight in front of, staff outside and everything. And that scared the shit out of me, because every time I had to pass a window, I had to run.
Yeah.
I was sneaking around all the time, and I was trying to be as quiet as possible.
Yeah.
But in that situation, it was like getting into a bottle, because you're climbing in a tiny little window, and that's the only way out.
Mm-hmm.
And every single room was looked exactly the same. So I couldn't remember what room I got, what broken window that I had gotten into, because every single room was the same.
Yeah.
There's
only ever one place I ever left in a hurry, and it was years ago. I was in my early 20s, and it was an old factory we were doing, and there was a set of stairs in it, and they led up to like a second story on the factory. And as I was up halfway up the stairs, something ran up the stairs, and it went and it went right past me, and I could actually feel it as they went past on the steps. And then it ran back down, and it ran back up, and then it ran back down again, and I was gone. I'd had enough. I couldn't cope with it after that point. I just left. Left. But I could physically, they were old rickety stairs, and you could physically feel the stairs. You could feel the footfalls on the stairs, and they were going up and down the stairs at a speed that just wasn't possible. And I thought, I'm out of here. I can't cope with this. And I just left.
Yeah.
That's the one and only time I've ever left a building. The only other time I felt uneasy, it wasn't actually a paranormal investigation I was on. I went to visit a place with my ex-wife, potentially to host our wedding reception, which was a place called Aidan Hill in Alzoin, which oddly enough appeared on Most Haunted a few years ago. And I was in there 5 minutes, and I just had to leave. The atmosphere and the vibes I was getting off the place, I just couldn't cope with. And I just said to the wife, I said, you know, I ain't having it here, and we left. And when I went out and she said, you know, what was the matter? I said, I just didn't like the atmosphere of the place, and oddly enough, she didn't either. You know, but I didn't actually leave through anything paranormal. It was just a sense of getting in the building. It just did not seem friendly at all, in any way, shape, or form. So I left.
Yeah, I mean, like, not a place you want to have a wedding. Like, if you're not feeling like, you know.
no, it certainly wasn't. But yeah, we actually went to pick it for our, you know, for the venue for after. I think we were in there 5 minutes, and I couldn't stand it. I couldn't stand being in there any longer. But oddly enough, I saw it was featured on Most Haunted in one of the later series.
Yeah.
I'd like to go back now and do it from a paranormal point of view, but at the time, it literally was just going for the wedding, and I was like, no, can't do it here. It's one of the most ominous buildings I've ever been in my life.
Yeah. Well, you know, people, you know, had that strange, heavy feeling when we first arrived at Sharon Rectory. You know, that's a family home.
Yeah.
And you know, there was times there when I'm sort of sensitive to that kind of heavy energy as well. And you know, a lot of us were saying, I don't know how these people live here. You know, we can be told that, you know, the lady of the house, you know, after she was shot, went into the bathroom and bled out and died. And that can put something in people's minds. Oh, I feel very heavy in here.
Yeah.
But because that story has already been told to you, you know, psychological stuff can get in the way. And I try not to listen to the history. I have the history here in a book beside me. I still haven't read it, because I have another investigation to do, and I don't want
to corrupt, you know, your interpretations until you've done it.
Yeah, and I mean, like when I done interviews, there was two sensitives, and they had to leave the room because they didn't want that information. And the interviews that we done were basic. What actually happened, the history, blah blah blah. We didn't want to go into what they experienced, what was their biggest experience, or anything like that. Yes, it would be great for entertainment, or it would be great for viewership, but you know, at the end of the day, we were there to do a job.
Yeah.
You know, and the fact that we have footage and I could put it together to a video, that's just a bonus of that. You know, it was the first experience of doing paranormal investigating where it was crucial, because it was trying to get to a bottom of a situation where the family is going through something.
See, the only problem I've got with things like that is, you know, even with mediums, you can end up being led down the wrong path, you know, because what they're picking up on may not necessarily be the truth. And I'm always very wary of any type, you know, and I do believe mediums exist. I just don't believe there's very many genuine ones out there. You know, and I'm a bit wary of going down the lines of taking mediums with me anywhere for anything sort of thing. And you know my impressions and my opinions of armchair mediums, Sam. You know what they are with them. I'm just a little bit wary about, you know, I don't dismiss what they say, but I do notice a lot of people, if they've got a medium with them, they tend to take what the medium says to them as gospel. And it might not necessarily be right.
Well, I have seen investigations where actually the mediums have basically taken over.
Yeah. It's quite common on a. It seems a popular thing to do on YouTube now. Is when anybody's out on an investigation, you've got a string of people in the chat. Oh, I sense this, I sense that, I sense the other. And you know, and they're always sensing Elizabeths and Georges and Marys and Alices. And let's be honest, in the century, they were the most popular names going. So they're probably going to get hits whether they're, you know, they're genuine or not.
Yeah, I mean, like, mediums. You know what? Because we're not mediums, we don't understand how they can send something through a television screen.
Yeah. I ain't
But
necessarily saying the medium's wrong. I just think people need to be careful about taking in what the medium's saying and not just presuming straight away that they are a bona fide source of information and what they're coming out with is genuinely true. Because let's be honest, you can see it for yourself on the spirit box. If we don't know what we're contacting on spirit boxes, and we know for a fact they're not always truthful with what the information they give you. So, you know, the same could be happening with a medium. Even if they are genuine receiving communication, they could be being fed a complete pack of lies by something.
yeah, I mean, like, you have these people in the chat now. I'm sensing a Mary, and next thing the investigators, oh, it's Mary here.
Yeah.
You know, and next thing the medium says, ask Mary, is her daughter there? And next thing that investigator doesn't know that medium for shit.
Yeah.
And they have already handed the power over to that person.
Yeah.
Who may or may not be a medium. The other side of it is just a lot of people on YouTube, and they're attention seekers, and that attention it goes on to them.
Yeah.
Now, I've seen investigators who actually ignored these things because they don't know them for shit.
Mm-hmm.
And next thing, those people just disappear because they're not getting the attention. And sometimes that does happen, you know?
Yeah. You know, I'll call them armchair mediums because, you know, they use a lot of Barnum statements and generalized statements and things that, you know, anybody who knows anything of that period could make statements and get them right. The things are, at one point, 75% of women were called Mary. So if if they're wandering around a graveyard with a lot of graves from 1800 whatever, you've only got to say, "Oh, I'm sensing a Mary," and I'll guarantee you within a few seconds they can walk up to a gravestone that's got Mary on it. Same with Elizabeth, same with Florence, same with Alice. All those kind of names, you're going to find them on gravestones of that period very, very frequently.
Yeah.
You know, and I think even if it's going to, I think that, you know, most genuine mediums will tell you they do have to be in an area where they're in contact with what's going on. I don't think that people can be picking it up through a TV screen or a computer screen or whatever they're watching it on. You know, I think for a medium to have any sort of accuracy, there needs to be some kind of connection for the medium, or maybe, you know, one of the relatives with them. But I don't think mediums can really sit in front of the TV and be going, "Oh, I'm picking up that there's a such and such there, and they want this and they want that." But what you say is true. What is the worst bit is when the people doing the investigation then run with it. And I've seen a lot of people lately who've been listening to these people, and they've run their entire investigation for that night on the names these people have been given them, but not one other piece of the equipment they've got with them has backed up what this medium's claimed. There's been no mention of this name on a spirit box or anything like that. You know, they've just said, "Oh, I sense there's a Daniel there." And for the rest of the night, the people keep trying to call out for this Daniel or contact this Daniel. They get nothing, and then they wonder why. Because it literally is just a name plucked out the air.
Yeah, I mean, like, we're not saying that, you know, people don't have a sense that they can sense through a screen or visualize that they're there themselves. I don't know how it works. Like, I'm not stamping on them.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to remember that this is YouTube, and there's a lot of people out there that are attention seekers in that.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
And at the end of the day, you know, if you're an investigator on the location, you know, it's your job, it's your investigation, you know, it's your investigation, and if you're taking instructions from somebody you do not know, you've lost control of that situation.
Yeah.
Next thing, you're going to have people in the chat and saying, oh, do Paratech, do this, do Netrophonic, do this, and all the rest of it, or handing that responsibility over to the viewers. Right, folks, what do you want? Do you want this? Do you want that? Do you want that? You know, make your choice and stuff like that. When you're on an investigation, you go into an location and you start getting used to the pieces of equipment that you have or the steps that you have to take. In your mind, you have what it takes to take that step. You go into one part of a location or a room in a house.
Yeah, I think if you want to work with mediums, take the medium with you and know the medium you're working with. You know, don't just be taking general comments in your chat, because you don't know these people from Adam. When all done. You know, I think you've got to treat your medium like any other piece of paranormal equipment you use. You know, you've got to get to know them, and you've got to know what their abilities are. You know, I just think you're setting yourself up for a fail if you're just taking comments that are thrown out there in the chat by complete strangers here. Like you say, you've got absolutely no idea of what their abilities actually are, and yet you're taking the word for what they're saying to you.
Yeah, I don't understand how the radio has gone off. It's running lightly in the background. Oh, there was a timer on it. Yeah, people that are in the chat that have just come in. We're kind of doing an ITC experiment. There's a white noise in the background. What we're doing is I'm scanning between 15,000 and 16,000 kilohertz. There's no radio broadcasts in those. And the battery is ran flat in the radio, which doesn't help. But anyway, sure, we can carry on with the chat. Sure, I can review that. You know, it's gone on for an hour anyway, and I should have enough footage there to review and see if anything came up on that. You know.
Yeah, I'm just reading Gillian's comments. My very first reading was from a lady from Preston, Lavinia Rice. She was called. I said she sounds very posh. I can honestly say I have probably met 3 people in my lifetime who I consider genuine, consistent mediums. You know, from all the people out there who claim to be mediums, and this is just me from a personal level, I can probably say, hand on heart, I have probably met 3 people who I would consider genuine mediums. It's nowhere near as common as people make out it is. Nowhere near.
Yeah, I mean, like I got a reading last week, from somebody that's popular here on YouTube. Well, not a huge channel or anything like that, but she has a reputation of coming up with pretty good stuff. And she done a reading for me. She done a card reading. And next thing she went on about the car. You know, you need to fix your car, or you're going to need to change your car, because what I see here is, you know, I see an accident. I see an accident on a dirt road with some rocks and stuff like that. I didn't tell her that the night before that both of my lights went out, and I had to drive home with my full lights on with brown tape over the headlights so I wouldn't blind people.
Right.
Do you know? And there's a couple of things that needs to be sorted out, and the car has to go to the garage.
Yeah.
And I've been sort of putting it off and stuff like that. Do you know? So that was kind of strange, because we don't have conversations.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't have my car on the videos and that. It's not I done a car video when I first got the car and that. But I don't talk about it now. I don't, you know, it's just a form of transport. I may video the odd time in the car and stuff like that, but that's about it, you know. So I found that kind of strange, and actually I didn't use the card the next day.
Did she
I
tell
actually
you anything else that was relevant?
Possibly going into hospital.
Right.
But that I would come out of it, and because I had poor health, you know, I was thinking, you know, that's kind of close, you know. But actually, I drove the next day. I did actually drive to Rachel's house, and I actually I took a taxi home. I actually left the car at Rachel's house.
It played on your mind that much.
You know, and that's the reason why I'm actually not, you know, one of the reasons why I'm actually not going out at the moment. There's something wrong with the lighting system, wiring or something that I have to get sorted. And if I go out in daylight, next thing, you know, daylight falls and I'm left in the dark, I'm kind of screwed.
Yeah.
So, you know, better off getting the transport sorted and then getting back out in that. And then I don't have that worry. Yeah. Because I could be out on location and trying to rush things. I said, right, I need to start getting ready to go home before it gets dark.
Yeah.
Or I'm screwed, you know?
One of the first cars I had was an old Mini, and that used to do that. You'd be driving down the road and all of a sudden the one headlight would go off for no reason whatsoever. And now I had 3 separate headlights fitted on that Mini, and it would not cure it. They would just blow. After a couple of months, they'd just blow, and you know, they'd just go all of a sudden. And I had that car for about 3 years, and I must have gone through, Christ, 7, 8, maybe 9 headlights on that car before I got rid of it. It was an absolute night, but it was always the right at the driver's side one. Would always just suddenly blow for no reason.
Yeah.
Absolute nightmare it was.
I actually told people in the beginning I was going to unbox a camera. And I might do that now. And to tell people why I actually bought the camera is I have another camera here that's filming me now at the moment. And what happened was it's a Sony camera, and I had connected a USB to it to connect it to the laptop to recover data from it, and it would not recognize it. So I thought, you know, it needed that docking station, and that would solve all my problems. But when I went to look up for that little docking station, which is just a little plastic plate with a connection on it, you know, the cheapest one I could find was £75. So I found a full camera in a box with the docking station and 2 lenses, which the lenses are pretty expensive on these Sony cameras as well. So I got that for £110, which is a better bargain than paying just £75 for a piece of plastic with a connection on it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You know,
while you're unboxing that, I'm going to grab me a quick cigarette.
Grand. So here we have the HDR-SR7E, and this camera is, it's not a new camera, but it was new. It's sort of it's one of these overstocks where it didn't sell, and it was probably sitting in a warehouse for years. So that I found that was a better value than just buying the docking station on its own. So I'm going to open it up, and I'm just going to show the little bits and pieces that are in it. We got bubble wrap, which is nice. I love that big bubble wrap.
I could play with bubble wrap for hours.
Oh, the big bubble wrap is class. Books, which nobody reads, and software, paperwork that nobody sort of looks through. There's actually a brochure in there that, you know, for accessory.
I'm just going to mute this camera for a sec, Sam, so I'll be back in a sec.
No problem. No problem. Right, that is... This piece here is where the camera sits and where you recover your data, and that was £75 on its own. So it was more sensible to buy the whole thing. And in along with that, I got 2 lenses, and they're kind of pretty expensive and hard to get. I have to go the opposite way. I got 2 external lenses, and along with that, I got a sort of a sun shield. You know, it's just a little plastic sort of a guard with a lipper on the side of it, so that the sun doesn't go directly into the lens of the camera, affecting your shots. And a big size battery, which is always good, and cables. I'm not going to show you the cables, it's the boring stuff, but this is the actual camera itself. It's the SR7E, to go the opposite way. It's you know, it's one of the old school. It's one of the old school Sony night shots, but it's the more modern version of it. And instead of tapes, you have a hard drive on the side here, and it runs. It's got a 60 gigabyte SSD. Toshiba laptop hard drive on the side of it, so you store your data on that, and to recover that data when you're putting it into your laptop, you just sit it into your little station here, and you can run. There's your connections are in at the back of the little station there, and you can get access to the hard drive there. But you know, essentially, this is just basically a piece of plastic with a couple of connections on it, and it connects to the bottom of the camera and that. You know, and it wasn't justified to pay £75 for this when I could buy the whole lot with camera and all for £110. And I've seen the listings for these. They go from £150 to £500, which is a lot of money, you know. The fact that it goes up to, you know, £400 to £500. It's a pretty good camera still. It's a it films in 1080, and it has the night vision as well. And here is your external wide angle and telescopic lens. What do you call them? Wide angle and some other fisheye lens, actually. So, you know, getting all that for 110 quid is pretty good, you know. And the big difference in this camera and some of the older cameras that I used is, you know, I get the full screen. Sometimes when you film with the older cameras, the screen size that comes up on your TV screen or comes up on your computer screen, you have this black line on each side where the image and the piece of video is made a lot smaller than it would be the full screen. It just comes out with the full screen with this camera, which is pretty good. It's an awful lot heavier than the modern camera because of the fact that there's a hard drive. I wish if I was a millionaire, I wouldn't be buying this camera. I'd be buying if I was a millionaire, I wouldn't be buying this camera. I'd be buying a top of the range, you know, 4K or 8K camera or whatever. But I thought that was a pretty good bargain for what it was, because some of the listings are up four or £500 and that, you know, and the resolution on it is still pretty good and that, you know. So that's basically unboxing of that camera.
Is it a night shot, Sam?
Sorry?
Is it a night shot?
Oh, definitely, yes. Yeah. Oh, you were off there for a few minutes. It's a night shot, and it's one of the last of the run-of-the-mill Sony cameras. But when this particular camera came out, it was over $1,000.
Jesus.
You know, it's a little bit bigger than the small run-of-the-mill cameras. So it's a pretty good camera, like. And you've got a little Sony hot shoe at the top here, and I actually have a light for that. The lights for these cameras are pretty expensive as well. But I ended up buying another camera that had that light packed along with it. And it turned out...
Does the camcorder power the light bar plugging it on the hot shoe?
Oh, it does, yeah.
So it is a proper fully functional hot shoe.
Oh,
there, then.
it is, yes. And you have the option with this one of turning your screen off. Say if you're going completely stealth,
yeah,
and you didn't want any light at all, you could look through this viewfinder and close over your screen and that. It's a 60 gigabyte hard drive in the side of it here, and it runs on a Toshiba laptop SSD, which is not a hard drive as such. It's like an SD card.
Yeah.
So it's pure and utter silent. I have a JVC with a manual hard drive, and it takes about a minute for it actually to start up, because the laptop or the hard drive is spinning, and it needs to get up to speed and stuff, you know.
Yeah.
Right, I'm going to put these away. But you know, to get lenses for a Sony camera, they can be pretty expensive. So sometimes the best thing to do is try to look for that package where, you know, there's somebody selling a camera with all the stuff. You know, it's very, very strange that some of these cameras are still in their boxes and were never used, even though they're over 10 years old.
Yeah, they're probably stock that was never sold when they were, you know, when they discontinued them. Because Sony went through a period about 10 years back. They were literally updating their cameras every few months.
Yeah.
You know, so even stuff that was like fairly new was classed as discontinued within months of it coming out.
Yeah, and this is not the first time. It's actually the third time that I bought a camera that was classed as new.
Yeah.
But seal was broke on the box, and I look up the history, and the cameras are.
It's all right, Jace is kicking his DVD reader all over the place.
Do you know? I mean, sometimes you get these cameras. They're anything from 10 to 20 years old, and they're still in their boxes. You know.
It's all right. You don't want to be on camera. He's just scuttled past if you noticed.
You know. But,
so did you get that? Did you get that one off eBay, Sam?
I did, yeah.
Some of the old cassette tape Sonys with the night, they got brilliant night shot on them. But apparently there was a problem with them where under certain lighting conditions you could see people's underwear and stuff through the clothing. So that was why, and it is run, Jace, run. That was why Sony stopped doing that particular type of night vision. They had complaints about people's underwear showing through the clothes.
Yeah, certain colours would show through.
Yeah.
You know, even with these cameras, you know, things were getting a little bit dodgy in the odd time, and then you have to sort of move the camera away because somebody has a light top, and it sort of you can start to see through it a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, there was 1 or 2 times where I actually had to turn away a camera because it was starting to show a little bit too much, and just for the person's, you know, just to be nice, to be kind to the person.
But that is actually the reason Sony discontinued doing it. And I actually think the night vision on the older cameras is a hell of a lot better than the ones they do on the new digital versions. Hell of a lot better it was.
Yeah. But you know, I was just thinking last night because I had a video, you know, came up on my recommended of these. You wouldn't call them scientists. They were amateur guys that, you know, that go messing around with experimentation and that.
Yeah.
And they developed they called it a Wi-Fi camera where they could see Wi-Fi. Now, Wi-Fi is a form of electromagnetic field energy, and what they done was they made a thing, and it was like a little dish, and it was a coil of copper wire, and it was on a robotic arm, and this arm would scan a certain area, you know.
Yeah.
And it was connected up to a computer. And the image, after a while, would develop onto the computer and give you a readout of where the energies were. And would come up with a red blob where these energies were. The thing was, they were near an abandoned building, and there was a red blob coming from this building, you know?
Yeah.
But the thing was, they weren't focused on the paranormal. They were focused on seeing Wi-Fi. And it was kind of like a homemade thing. It was a robotic arm with a dish and a copper coil and some sort of circuitry connected up to a laptop.
Yeah.
You know, and to me, that kind of is a step in the right direction for people like us, because you have to remember too, and we both know that technology for the paranormal is often repurposed from a completely different use that it was designed for, you know. And this kind of technology could end up in the paranormal in the future, you know.
Yeah. It's all right, people. If you've seen anything in the background on my camera, it's not a shadow figure. It's Coco. She's sitting waiting for looking to see if Jace is going to give her any biscuits out the kitchen. Somebody's literally just asked the question. No, that was Coco. Jace is in the kitchen, so she's hoping to get a biscuit. I was looking at her in the corner, and I thought people are going to say there's a shadow moving in the back of your video. I could see it was Coco.
Yeah, I could hear them.
Kaya's lying down the side here asleep, or was.
Yeah, I could hear a noise, like, you know.
Anytime Jace is in the kitchen, she's there hoping for a biscuit.
Yeah. But I did previously see an article where they had developed a camera that had 10 trillion frames per second, which could see energy in that.
Yeah.
And this camera technology was the size of a bus. It was in a laboratory, developed in a laboratory, and it was cooled by gases. But this thing was tiny. It was just a little small dish on a robotic arm, and it would scan across.
Yeah.
And it would map out on the computer. But what the operators was doing as well was they were taking a panoramic image with a camera, and then they would overlay that image on top of the readout of what the Wi-Fi camera was showing, and that was showing where these Wi-Fi routers were in a certain building, and that energy was going through the wall, and you could see it in that.
Yeah.
But all they had to do was take a photograph and then just overlay it on top of the image that came up on the readout on the computer.
Have you ever seen any examples of spirit photography or aura photography, Sam?
I seen through an Aura camera,
Mm-hmm.
and I would love to get my hands on one because
Yeah.
it's quite strange. Do you know? I was at a it was kind of like an open day for all this kind of Reiki and
Yeah.
spiritual stuff and all that kind of stuff. So you had all these kind of stalls selling all kinds of things, and you had mediums and card readers and people that had these shops with crystals.
Yeah.
And there was actually crystal healing technology that they were using. They were putting some sort of infrared or a laser through a quartz crystal, and this quartz crystal was resting on people's backs and stuff. I didn't fully understand that, but I did have a look through this Aura camera, which was quite fascinating. And you could see different colors coming off different people that were in the building, you know?
Yeah. It's all right. I'm just responding to Bungle. Yeah, Bungle. Both me and Sam use the Tascams. I wouldn't be anywhere. I wouldn't go anywhere without my Tascam. Cheers, Jace.
Yeah, I have done tests with low bit recorders, but the thing about it is, you know, you're talking about the theory is that internal noise in those low bits can create some voices and that, but the thing is, those voices are not recorded in high quality. When you listen back, you can hear this whirling sound where it's struggling,
Mm-hmm.
and that is what's making the white noise. And possibly in there, you got a frequency where the communication is. But the thing is, when it's played back to you, a lot of the time, it's very hard to analyze it because it's so low.
Yeah.
So I think that, you know, what I started doing was using the Tascams, but using white noise in the background, you know, like a radio,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
a shortwave station where there's no human voices on it, and use that as background audio support. And I'm sort of following the work of Annabella Cardoso, and that's where I'm, you know, that's where
Have you seen what Gillian's putting in your comment section, Sam? Do not flag that one up on the screen.
I was just about to actually. It would be like something I'd come out with. All right. You know? But
God.
the theory is that with the recordings, with the low bit recordings, you got that white noise, and that is background audio support. But the thing is, it's internal and it's not uncontrollable. If you have white noise of a radio on a station, on a shortwave band station where there's no human voices, you can control that noise.
Yeah.
Do you know? And when you put it through a analysis, you can break it down an awful lot better, and you can analyze it an awful lot better. You know, and especially with the Tascams where the quality is so good.
Yeah.
You know, you're not going to mistake a shuffle for a whisper. You know, which often happens with those old recorders.
It was like I was saying the other day. I actually use my Tascams with the channel split if I'm doing like spirit box stuff, because you can, I'll split the one channel up for the spirit box, one channel for the lavalier mic, and then if I accidentally talk over a response, I can put it into my editing software and literally turn off the voice channel at the point where I speak, so all that comes through is the spirit box. So you never miss a response doing it that way.
Yeah, I mean, like some of the big popular channels are using these. Do you know? And the reason,
an Olympus.
Yeah, you can get them for £30 online.
Yeah.
But you know, I think the reason for them doing that a lot of the time is because chances of getting a response is very, very high.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it's very often mistaken for a little shuffle.
Mm-hmm.
And it can give excitement to the viewer, you know, and say, oh, you got something there. And, you know, it depends on if you're a paranormal investigator or an entertainer.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and the
Yeah.
reason why a lot of the time why they use these is because you can connect them up to the computer. With the Panasonics, you can't do that. It's a lot more complicated.
Mm-hmm.
But I would personally, I would go for high quality.
Yeah. I don't like MP3 format for doing EVP work because it's too compressed. You know, it just cuts out too much of the frequencies.
Yeah. I can't remember the channel that I was on, but there's these guys. They do be on there regularly, once a week, doing a paranormal chat, and you kind of get lost in it because they're on about frequencies and all sorts of data and all the rest of it. Very, very high into this stuff, and you know, I've lost my train of thought now, but.
Is that one of them special cigarettes you're smoking, Sam?
No, I would have an excuse if I was.
I always do it. You start through something, then you think, what the hell was I talking about?
I can't remember.
Yeah, Bungle says, is not the theory that voices are created using ambient noise manipulated by spirits? Is that what you guys said? See, personally, this is why when I do spirit boxes, I like a bit of white noise because I believe that they manipulate all the frequencies. I don't believe that they just pluck words off the radio. I think they can use any noise that they get in and convert it, you know, and manipulate it into sound. And that's why I always like a bit of white noise on my spirit boxes. Because a lot of people cut it out altogether with the noise gate, but I like a little bit of it underlying.
Steve Hope completely disagrees. And he disagreed, he fully disagreed in the last video. He says white noise makes communication actually harder and worse. But the thing is, he's one of the only few that goes on that theory. A lot of these older researchers that have been doing it for between 20 and 40 years work on the basis that the communication is through white noise.
Yeah, all the original ITC was done on white noise generators. There was no radio signals involved whatsoever.
Yeah, you know. So what, I don't know what he is, you know, in his last video, he says, guys, I've done it. You know, the usual, he stick his flag in the ground and declares victory and all the rest of it.
His next amazing discovery.
Yes, and this is the astral doorway.
Oh, God.
He says, right, I'm going to show you how it works. And this guy should be the flipping president, or he should be in politics, because he went into it for about 10 minutes without actually telling us how it works.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he basically he went in a roundabout way of not telling us how it worked.
So what exactly is it?
It's basically a decorated guitar pedal with decorated guitar amp with pedals. So
it's still basically a spirit box, another portal.
Yes, it's dressed up in a copper casing, which
when you said it, I thought he was flogging fairy lights to hang around your door or something. When you said the name of it,
you know, in one so-called spirit communication, the spirit says people will buy it. It came up on writing on the screen. He's plugging it again, like big time. And I don't know if that was John the Baptist. I lost it when I heard that. John the Baptist.
Is he still speaking to God recently, or is he packed that in now? Because
Yes.
I don't watch him, Sam. I just cannot stand to watch him.
Oh, he'll need a bigger kitchen table very soon, because he's got Jesus, he's got Michael Jackson, he's got Michael the Archangel, and he's got John the Baptist as well.
He'll be rehosting the Last Supper at this rate.
Big time. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh. No, when you said astral doorway, I thought he was hanging fairy lights on the door frame or something. That's the sort of thing you try and pull off with people.
You see, he went into a little bit of going away from the decorated guitar amp with pedals, and was using these these spurt boxes from Paranologies, which have copper 3D printed casings on it.
Yeah.
And when I seen the astral doorway, I seen this copper casing, and I have a funny feeling that this company is involved in the development of this, and it could have taken extra steps this time for mass market of this product, you know.
Yeah.
Which at the end of the day is the same basic thing, you know.
Yeah, I've seen something. I don't know if anybody else has seen it yet. That was advertised earlier on Facebook. Fred Batoff, Mouse Daunted. Do you know him?
Yeah.
He's announced a collaboration with a guy called Brian Holloway, who created something called the Witch app, which I've got to be honest, I've never heard of. And apparently they are releasing an app and hardware that's going to be a hellish and a walk on the dark side.
Brian Holiday. It rings a bell.
Holloway, not Holiday. Apparently the app he wrote was called the Witch app.
Holloway.
Yeah, I think it's HALLOWAY.
I've lost it, but I his videos has come up. Oh, the Big B.
Well, apparently he's collaborating with Fred Batt. They're doing some kind of app, but he said an app and hardware. So there's some kind of paranormal equipment being released under Brian Holloway, and it's being released under the Demonology brand. And I actually put on the Facebook post, you're talking absurd, because there's absolutely no way you can guarantee anything is going to be hellish or a walk on the dark side.
Yeah, I mean, like he does have a collection of items, and he does have Dybbuk boxes, which he believes in and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, hardware makes me think it might be some. I'll get the impression it's probably some kind of spirit box or something to use with the app, I would presume. It might have been Anne, because I've posted it on the Above Paranormal Facebook page.
Oh, I must have a look at that.
Yeah, but I think it was on the Most Haunted webpage announcement, but it popped up in my timeline earlier on, and I thought, you've got to be kidding me. But right. he hasn't actually gone into detail of what the hardware is yet. But he has stated they are producing an app and hardware under the Demonology brand.
Oh yeah, Brian Holloway, the Big B. Dybbuk box live 5 months ago.
I've never heard of him, to be honest with you.
I came across him through Order of Magnitude's debunking Hook videos.
Mm-hmm.
And he actually done one as well.
Yeah, well, apparently he's created an app called the Witch app. But I've never heard of that one either. But apparently that's what he's done previously. But he's now working with Fred Batt to produce this new app. And they're also producing hardware. But what the hardware is, they haven't actually said yet.
Oh.
Let me check my Facebook. I've probably been banned off the thing, but let's see if I've got any responses. No. I've got no responses off the actual Facebook page, so he's probably just deleted the comment. But I just basically thought, you know, what you're claiming is absolutely absurd. You've got absolutely no way of guaranteeing that whatever's going to come through is going to be hellish.
Yeah. I mean, like, you know, it's a kind of a trend, you know, talking about demons and devils and negative stuff and all the rest of it. I think the paranormal is far from that. I think, you know, people put a label on stuff that we still completely don't understand, and it's a field full of theories. And I think, you know, people sometimes keep going along with the Hollywood kind of attitude to the paranormal and that, when it's far from the case. And that, and you know, when you think of somebody like that and you think of what he's saying, you kind of question his real research, if you know what I mean. Do you know? Somebody with real research is not going to go through the, you know, it's not going to take much heed of the Hollywood image of things. They're going to look at it at a rational point of view. Do you know?
So I'm just reading Bungle's question that you put up there. We've been to multiple locations and have noticed we can get phrases and words we have heard elsewhere. Are they attached to us or using portals? Any ideas? It could be either, Bungle. It could be something that's particularly interested in what you're doing, or that, you know, it could be something coming through a portal. It could be either.
Yeah, I mean, like, we do get a lot of these questions, and to be honest with you, you have a lot of these paranormal groups doing Q&As. Some of them want to put an image that they're some sort of expert.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, as you know, as you said in your stream, you know, you can ask us questions. We'll talk shit about it for a while if you want, because at the end of the day, the whole field is just steeped in theories.
Yeah, there's absolutely nothing proved. Nobody in this field can claim to be an expert, and there isn't a channel in the world that can say they've got a definitive answer on anything. They could wrap it up in fancy words and, you know, and claim they've got these qualifications or that qualifications, but nothing is proven. Nobody is an expert, and nobody has got a definitive answer to anything. None of it is proven at the moment. So, you know, if people tell you that they've got the definitive answer on any subject regarding the paranormal, they're either deluding you, deluding themselves, or both.
Or answering from personal experience.
Yeah.
You know, and that's okay, like.
Yeah. When people use the spirit box, what is the growl? Some hear. To me, it's not a demon, as some claim. I think it might be a deep man's voice. Well, if it's being recorded on a DR02, I can guarantee you it's nothing but the actual DR02 recording its own internal workings, because the Panasonic digital recorder, the DR02, or was it DR60? Was it DR60? One of it called
DR60? Yeah.
Sorry, not DR02. DR60 was recalled because it was known to have a problem where it was recording its internal electronics, and it sounds like a growly, evil voice. As to what things coming through the spirit box are, I have no idea. Personally, I don't believe in demons. I do believe you get positive and negative energies, but I don't believe in demons along the lines of what the Christians think demons are. What's your opinion on that, Sal?
Well, I have had growls coming through the spirit box on a radio scan, and, you know, is it coming from one scan to another where a word is stretched or whatever. It's kind of highly unlikely. And you know, sometimes we do get these clear grounds and that. But in some of our research, we have come across you know, people claiming animal-like creatures you know, during paranormal events, and this could possibly be connected with the elemental side of things. We just don't know.
Yeah.
You know, I'm waiting for a photograph at the moment from a taxi driver who has a picture of their grandchild or child with some sort of a bear creature stooped over it and that.
Yeah.
And then we've had the stories about the black dog spotted around Sharon Rectory, and I had barks come through on a recorder and my camera in a cellar in that house where you would not hear outside noise because it's underground and there's a house on top with a big house right on top of it. And I've gone to the location 4 times since, and there's no dogs in the neighborhood. So, you know, there is a possible that, you know, some of these animal or growling sounds are coming from the elemental side. You know, I don't know too much about the elemental side, but I'm not going to put the blinkers on and dismiss any of that.
Yeah.
Because, you know, there is a lot of beliefs out there. But, you know, I find if you dismiss a lot of them, you end up putting the blinkers on, and you could be investigating down the wrong road where you've dismissed some other theory.
Yeah.
Which possibly could make more sense, and you've already dismissed it. So you're investigating in the wrong direction, kind of thing. So that's why it's important to have an open mind to all this, you know.
So is Steve off now claiming he's only got 4 months to live?
I thought he'd done that years ago.
Did he?
I didn't see a lot of his videos, but I did see a video, and that he did make that claim, but it was a long time ago. Before 4 months ago. So
well, maybe now he's on first person speaking terms with God. Maybe he's extended his life for him.
Maybe he makes videos. Maybe he makes his videos as a ghost.
You know, now he's talking to Jesus and John the Baptist. They've extended his time period down here.
No, they had a little private meeting in his little room full of crosses. Honestly, that scares the shit out of me when I see that, and I see the dark, and I see all these crosses, and I see him sitting in his thing going, ooh, and you see all the cross. That scares the living crap out of me, you know.
For me personally, Sam, I don't think religion's got any place in the paranormal. You know, it's like religion and politics; they just shouldn't go together.
Religion, no. Spirituality, that's another thing entirely.
Spirituality is a different thing, but religion itself, I think, should be kept well and truly out of the paranormal.
Yeah, the organized religion, but you know, faith and belief. The reason why it comes into it is because it's so close to it. You know, you know, the belief of angels and the belief of God or the belief of other gods. That's the reason why spirituality creeps into the paranormal. You know, because you know they speak that, you know, there's possibility that there is heaven. And then these people they want to know where their loved ones are.
I think a lot of people turn to religion is one because, you know, like you say, they want to know where their loved ones have gone. And the other thing is, a lot of people don't want to think that when they die, that's it, game over. They want to think that there's somewhere nicer for them to go to.
Yeah, but there is people that are really desperate. I mean, like
Here's a question for you, Sam. Right, there is one big, massive flaw in Christianity. Right.
Right.
If the devil punishes evil people, Doesn't that make him the good guy?
Do you expect me to answer that one?
But isn't that one of the biggest flaws in the Christian belief? If you're sent to hell for eternal torment, that means the devil is punishing evil people. So if the devil is punishing evil people, that makes him the good guy.
But the other side of that is God is a forgiving person, and He comes to those who sinned.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you see the stuff from the Bible and that, he went to the tax collectors and the sinners, and He gave them more attention sometimes than the people that were okay, because those people that were doing bad things or were in trouble needed Him more. So the other part of it is repent,
Mm-hmm.
and God is a forgiving person.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the ones who are sent into hell for punishment, right? For being naughty or doing bad things. And the devil is supposedly there to torment them forevermore in hell. So surely if he's tormenting people who have been extremely bad in life, that makes him the good guy.
Yeah, when you think of it that way, yeah. But you know, growing up in a Catholic school, that was used against us an awful lot as children.
Yeah.
These nuns that were teaching us were scaring the living shit out of us.
Mm-hmm.
Because if we were told, if we told lies that we were going to hell, and it scared the living daylights out of us. You know, and it was a form of control to keep us online, you know.
Yeah. So I'm just responding to Satan is actually a corruption of the pagan god Pan, who is actually a benign god, and he was basically turned into Satan to drive people away from paganism. What are you laughing at? And into Christianity.
I can't take this chat serious. Look at the picture and look where the mic is.
So that. Sam's just noticed and says, look at the background and look where the mic is.
That's even worse. Oh God! You know, you were talking there, and I was saying this does not look right. You know, my mind was wandering. You know. Oh God.
Yeah, it's Julian's fault. Definitely Julian's fault. I wanted to mention some of the orbs realm type further up about. Hang on, let me find it. Yeah, orbs realm put is about apps. He put my personal feeling on apps. Or I have no desire to use them. When you understand how apps are developed and work, you may question their functionality. And I'll put to him exactly, orbs, they are loaded with paranormal words and are designed to spew stuff out constantly. I've got to be honest, I'm not a fan of apps. Because I know for a fact the word banks used in them do contain a lot of words that are relevant to the paranormal. and that's why she needs a long lens. And apps are designed to constantly spew out something, anything. Like if you put an app next to a spirit box, it looks like the app is actually producing more communication than a spirit box, because the spirit box doesn't produce as much sounds, whereas an app is designed to spit something out every couple of seconds. And this is what a lot of people don't realise. They think they're getting good communication with apps. All they're doing is increasing the pareidolia exponent of the communication 100-fold, in my opinion.
Yeah. Is that the comment?
Yeah,
there?
that's the one. That's the one.
I mean, like, I done a video on the Netrophonic, and I'm kind of sorry I did.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of give myself a hard time because I actually, because other people were starting to use it, and there was an upturn in it, and that's why I bought it.
Yeah.
But it's in my phone and I don't use it because he said that there is no full words in this app.
There are.
And because his associations with Steve Huff, I should have known better.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm not saying he's a bad guy or anything like that, but, you know, I don't get it. There's two. I can't look into that app and see what's in it.
Well, the thing is, I know ETA Paranormal use it a lot, and it's a running joke on there with me that I cannot stand it. You know, and I've never made any secret of it. And my problem with Necrophonic is, one, the way it's set up to do that silly crackly screen just tells me it's a gimmick. You know, the app itself is made to look frightening when it's running on the phone, but what people don't realise, it's a very limited bank of phonetic sounds that, when put together, will actually form combinations of words. And it's probably easier to constantly spew out phonetics than it is to spew out full words and get a connection between them. To me, it's just a row, Sam. It's just a constant row. And every now and again, you'll get two that fall side by side that make a word. Believe it or not, it's probably easier using phonetics to produce words than it is to actually use words themselves in the sound bank.
Well, the way I look at it, you go onto the app store and it's a minefield of apps.
Yep.
And how to flip at this stage, do you know which is good and which is bad?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's why I don't use any of them at all now.
Yeah. You know, I don't knock anybody who use them if they think they work for them. But for me, knowing what I know about them, the way they're written and what's in them and the way they work, they're in the same class as the SLS camera for me. Exactly the same.
You know, there is people that believe in them, and then you know, and there's other people that believe different parts of the paranormal and don't believe in ITC. Do you know? There's all kinds of beliefs there.
Mm-hmm.
But the way that we seem to be on the same page, that, you know, radio communications, it's what we do.
Yeah. But Necrophonic itself, it gives me an headache to listen to it, because it is literally just churning out one phonetic noise after the next. And the law of average is going to tell you that, you know, they're going to fall into place to form a word because of, and, you know, the way words are spelt phonetically, there's thousands of combinations where, you know, you put two phonetical sounds together and they will make a word. And that is why you get much more words coming out on Necrophonic, is because it is actually using the phonetic parts of the word rather than full words. You know, you put two phonetics together, will probably make a word that somebody knows.
Yeah.
And, you know yourself, Sam, when you do a spirit box or when you do EVPs, you're not getting words flying out of spirit boxes and EVPs every few seconds.
Yeah.
You know, and this is the impression these apps give, because they're designed to churn out a word or a phonetic sound every second. It looks like there's more communication going on than there actually is.
Yeah. Do you know, people would say the same thing about spirit boxes. Like, there's so many human voices coming out.
Yeah, yeah.
That's how do you know what's human voices and
Mm-hmm.
what's, you know, and when you use the spirit box for a long time, you come across situations where it just doesn't sound like radio.
Yeah.
Now you could have some sort of an interference there, but you know there has been some strange responses, and you know we've had the swear words come out and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but I would all be really up for communications without human voice radio with human radio voices. If I could get results. Apparently, you can get results, but it's an awful lot more. You know, it's an awful lot more. There's an awful lot more patience required. Do you know?
Yeah.
And I think the reason sometimes the Spirit Box gets a bad name is people misusing them or not fully engaged, or not fully used to using that Spirit Box.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know?
Don't you think that, Sam? Using a spirit box a lot, there are certain voices you hear on a spirit box, and you know that it's not actually radio. They have an entirely different sound to them.
Yeah, and sometimes you get familiar voices coming through.
Yeah.
Actually,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it's really hard to explain. You have to be sort of in that situation. But the thing is, you have to keep using them. You have to build that connection up. Then you start to see the difference between a radio communications and a response to what you're saying.
Yeah.
Do you know? And as well as that, do you know, yes, we have a lot of people out there that are new to the field. But the thing is, be patient. Don't start going on, coming out with a big random load of questions.
Mm-hmm.
Ask a question, give them time, then ask another question. Give them loads of time. Sometimes that response may not come for a number of seconds. Yeah. And you may ask another question and smother your response. You know, it's the same for EVP.
Yeah.
And that, you know, and I don't do EVP sessions, but if you are going to do an EVP session, leave about 20 or 30 seconds between each question. Do you know?
Is Gillian on the booze tonight?
I'm kind of losing in the chat here.
If I had patience, I'd be a nurse. Ha ha. I've had that all where I've actually been lying in bed and I've heard someone shouted at me and it's made me jump. Have you ever had that experience, Sam?
Yeah.
I do find that, you know, and sometimes it's my name and sometimes it's just a random word or something.
Yeah, but you know, when you're in that situation, sometimes you have to wonder, are you dreaming or what?
Yeah.
You know, that's the thing. But you know, sometimes we get suddenly woken up for some reason and we just don't know.
Yeah, but I've actually had it when I've been awake, lying in bed. You know, when you're at that stage halfway between sleep and being awake. You know, and I've had my name bellowed at me in my ear and it's made me jump. You ever had that, Joe? No. Joe says he's never had it.
Yeah, Brendan says, I had a voice say to me so loud, I am okay, Brendan. Thought my wife was next to me. I turned around, no one was there. Wife was upstairs, sorry. Jesus. You know. Do you know I was saying about you know, EVP and doing EVP sessions. I don't do EVP sessions. Because I go into a location, I turn the recorder on, I leave it on. And when I go home, I have 3 or 4 hours of audio recordings to go through. It's an awful lot more harder work, but you're casting a wider net there.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't understand. I don't. Well, I kind of do the thing. Let's do an EVP session, folks. What's your name? Is there anyone there? How many spirits is here? Let's play that back, folks.
You're forgetting to rub your finger on the back of the recorder as you're asking, so.
Yeah, I mean, like, the spirit box session goes on for about a minute.
Yeah.
And that's as far as of a net you've just cast. And it's just, to me, it's just not, it's just, if you go into a location, you're experimenting and you're calling out anyway, just have the recorder on all the fucking time. You know, I think it's a lot of the time it's just laziness.
Yeah.
We go into a location, and if I go to a location some Saturday, right, Saturday night, and I go to another location during the week or the next Saturday, I've double amount of work because I still haven't finished the first one.
Yeah.
Because, you know, going through 3 or 4 or 5 hours of audio recordings, it's a lot of hard work.
Well, when we did that Fay Garden one, I left my DRL5 at a tree, and we moved to another part of the garden. Now that's a big garden. Now, while we'd been setting up, Andy had been talking about his pan pipes, and he was asking if anybody wanted him to play his pan pipes. When I got back and we played it back, Sam, when we left the recorder on its own, there is 15 minutes on the recording I did, which lasted an hour, where you can actually hear pan pipes playing for 15 minutes. You can actually hear pan pipes playing.
For 15 minutes?
For 15 minutes of the hour recording. There are actually pan pipes playing on the recording.
Wow.
And you can hear footsteps walking around the recorder as well, and we were at the other side of the garden at that point.
Yeah, and you would have missed it if you'd done an EVP session.
Yep.
Of 1 minute, which I don't know where this EVP session theory came up with, because so many people are doing it, and then everybody's copying everybody, and I just don't get it. I just don't understand it. Is it that people are getting lazy? You know, and you have these people saying, "Oh, we're going to go live," so which means I don't have to do anything when I go home. You know, yes.
Stephen's put there, it's how you talk to the spirits, depends upon the response. See, one of my big pet hates regarding paranormal investigators is people who go into these locations and start getting aggressive and screaming abuse to get responses. They think it's going to trigger responses. Now, if you spoke to anybody like that living in the real world, you're either going to get a smack in the mouth or they're going to leave the area. Why do these investigators think that if they walk into a location and start screaming and shouting, being abusive, verbally abusive to somebody, that they are going to get any form of communication whatsoever? It really is one of my big pet hates.
Yeah, I mean, like we've had, it's like other groups talking about Easter egg, but Sharon Rectory, right? And the information we got is these people are terrorizing their homes by something, and the information that we get is that it's something negative and stuff. But I didn't go into that place roaring and shouting, "Why are you terrorizing these people, you piece of shit?" I didn't. I went in there and spoke to those, done that calling out the same way as I treated the people in that house. Because it's not that I didn't believe them, but because I didn't experience myself, I didn't hear it from the horse's mouth. So, I'm going to treat them with respect until they start, being negative
Yeah,
towards me. But
the thing is, Sam, a lot of the times people who haven't had much experience or no experience with the paranormal, a lot of people who suddenly find out things are happening in their house, they sometimes perceive things as being negative when they're not necessarily are. You know, things dropping off shelves or things moving or hearing bangs could actually just be something trying to communicate and get their attention.
Yeah.
It's just that they read it as negative. You know, and that's why I always say you need to get the full story of what's going on. If you go into an house for somebody and they say, you know, I'm having problems, you know, there's a ghost being nasty to me, and you say to them, well, exactly what's going on. 9 times out of 10, you'll find that they haven't actually done any physical harm to anybody in the house. It's been more of an attention thing, but because people aren't used to it, you know, and they've got those Hollywood perceptions of the poltergeist films and stuff like that stuck in their heads, they straight away presume that anything flying off a shelf straight away means that the spirit's aggressive, when it's not. It could just be their form of being noticed, trying to communicate.
Do you think that this type of negative calling out is a kind of an acting ploy to
it's drama. It's all done for drama.
You know,
it's all done for drama, and if anything, it's gonna have the opposite effect of what they want to achieve. Because no sane, rational, living person would put up with being spoken to that. Why the hell is somebody in the spirit realm who's got the option just not to respond, and you know you're not going to know they're there, put up with it anyway?
Yeah. See, the thing is too, people that are not into the paranormal but experience it are going to contact you and say there's something scary in my house, and it's terrifying us to the point that we think we need to move in that.
Yeah.
The fact is, they may not be scaring them at all. The human mind is terrified of the unknown, and that's just a fact, you know.
Yeah. To somebody who's never experienced anything like it, books flying off the shelf or things like that, they're going to straight away interpret as frightening and aggressive. You know, if they're throwing the books directly at them to cause injury, then fair enough. But if they're just flying off a shelf and landing on the floor, that is not necessarily a negative act. And it's not an aggressive act. It is just an act of trying to communicate.
Yeah. I mean, like, I'm sort of used to sort of being in the paranormal world at this stage. And I was actually sitting here one night. I think I was facing that way when I used to film from this computer here, and I used to have the camera this way. But I had a little ball of paper flick past me, and there was only myself and the dog in the house, and the dog obviously can't throw flick balls of paper. To the ordinary human being, that might be terrifying. But I kind of seen it as, hey, I'm over here, or I need some attention, or something like that.
Yeah.
It wasn't malicious, but some people that are, you see, the paranormal is a feared subject to people that are not studying or studying the paranormal. So it's kind of seen in a negative way. So anything paranormal that happens, in a lot of cases, people put down as very negative.
Yeah. The thing is, Sam, I think a lot of the time when you go on these investigations, a lot of people have been saying in the chat, your state of mind has a big influence on what happens. I think if you go in there with a positive attitude, you're more liable to attract positive entities. If you go in there with a negative attitude, you're more liable to attract things more negative. I do believe that your intention and your state of mind at the time has a big influence on what you experience.
Yeah. And I think people new to the paranormal field too, they would take out a spirit box, and the minute the word devil or demon or Satan comes up, they're terrified out of their wits. You know, it's come up on my spirit box, and I think I've been seeing on a recording where it said Satan or demon. I went, demon my arse.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm that used to it at this stage. I said, demon my arse. Prove it.
But the thing is, Sam, we know, you know, we know that a lot of the time what we get through on whatever form of communication, they do lie. You know, like I would say, when people die and pass on, they do not automatically turn into Mother Teresa on the other side. You know, if you were a nasty person and a liar or whatever in this life, the chances are when you pass over, you're going to be exactly the same on the other side. You know, so you're not going to come back and be Mother Teresa and tell the truth all the while. So a lot of these, and you know, I ain't even saying they're dead people because we don't know what we're contacting, but I would presume a lot of these things that we contact are just as prone to lie and get their own sort of pleasure out of watching people panic. So what's the best way to frighten somebody is come through, communicate and go, hello, I'm a demon.
Yeah, I mean, like, from all the, you know, the spirit box sessions I've done, I think there's a lot of bullshitting going on.
Mm-hmm.
You know, where they're trying. I think they're trying to scare you, and you know.
Yeah.
You know,
but also the biggest thing is, Sam, if you read the Bible where it discusses the demons and stuff like that, it always says that they are sly and conniving, and they are there to corrupt man and turn them away from God. Now, if that is the truth, and you know, and if you believe the Bible, that is what you've got to accept as the truth. The last thing any demon is going to do is pop through a spirit box or a Ouija board or whatever, and straight away say to you, "Hello, I'm a demon," because it's going to send 99% of people running. You know, they're going to be more. You know, they're more liable to say, "Oh, I'm a 5-year-old boy," or "I'm a 5-year-old girl." They're gonna use subterfuge to get in with you. Yeah. They're not gonna pop out like they leap out the closet and go, "Hello, I'm a demon." You know, if they're supposed to be these very crafty and sly creatures, the last thing they're gonna do is immediately reveal their identity to somebody they're supposedly trying to corrupt.
Yeah, I mean, like when you see stories of the devil and that he, you know, is a manipulating person and disguised as a good person or whatever. Have I missed something?
Read Bungle's comment.
Where is it?
Right at the bottom, just above hands.
Oh, shh.
It starts.
You could see me grinning when you were talking. I cannot take this stream seriously with that background. I'm not using that background again. I look at the background and I start grinning like, you know, I'm not fucking using that background in the next fucking stream. It just is so off-putting, you know? It just, I can't. We're talking about serious stuff here, and I just. It doesn't matter where the fucking microphone is, it's still just not looking. It just.
My tongue's reaching for it.
Yeah, I didn't put a lot of thought into that one.
It's a good job the mic ain't a bit bigger.
There you go.
Why did you choose that background, Sammy? It looks like you were in a strippers club.
I don't know, it's a bit late changing it now. Yeah, that was actually a painting that I done. It was copied of, I think it was Grand Theft Auto 3.
It was copied out of the strippers club I went to, Selena.
Oh, God. Size isn't everything, Brett.
You ain't gonna live that background down ever, Sam. Now.
No, I'm not. But if it's given somebody a smile today that's had a challenging day, it's a good thing. You know?
Have you seen where the mic is now?
Back. Yes, it's back where it was. It's because it doesn't matter where the flip it is. It still looks bad. But you never know. We might have cheered somebody up that's had a challenging day.
Yes. Well,
the dog is begging for a treat. You always beg for a treat when I go on stream, and I don't go on stream very much. I better get this dog a biscuit.
Yeah, I've got to log in about 5 minutes or so, Sam. I've got work tomorrow and stuff, so
right.
I'm gonna have to go off in about 5-10 minutes at the most.
I'm gonna go off too. I'm just getting used to live streaming, so I'm sorry that I'm losing stuff in the chat sometimes. Brett is more used to you. Brett, you're more used to doing, talking and seeing the chat at the same time. I just have to get used to it. And I actually find it very difficult to read. And I can only read when I put things up on the board in front of me. That's
why I've got my glasses on, Sam, because if I took these off, I wouldn't be able to see what it said. And I'm watching this on a 48-inch screen.
Yeah. We've had I don't know if I should be talking about this, but we've had Mr. GS Paranormal, who decided, instead of talking about the paranormal, he's decided to put that talking into actions and going out and investigating, and he's very excited about it.
Well, that can only be a good thing, to be honest with you, Sam. The more that side of the paranormal community goes away, the better. And I do genuinely believe that Simon's had enough of it. And he won't, because originally he did start off doing investigations, and then he went more into the, what some people like to call review side of it, but, that's debatable. But he really is, I really do believe that he genuinely wants to get back into the investigating side of it now.
Yeah, I mean, like when you look at like YouTube across the board, you've got the Onision saga and you've got the I'm J Station and stuff, and you've got these drama channels, and they're lapping this stuff up. The thing is, when that piece of drama is finished with, that video, that live stream is old news.
Yeah.
So you're only popular while that drama is taking place. When that drama is over, they have to find something else. Mm-hmm. And you only get support for so long. What happens very often is you attract people that are into the drama, and it sometimes ends up with a toxic environment that's very, very difficult to come out of.
Yeah, and the problem is, Sam, is that it ends up with other people who are actually running your channel for you. And it gets what a lot of people don't realise is, if they get your channel banned, they can just walk away.
Yeah.
Unaffected. You've lost the channel you could have invested years into.
Yeah.
For the fault of somebody else.
The thing is too, it will make you popular temporarily. Very, very temporarily. But when that drama is gone, those people are going to walk away.
Yeah.
Exactly. But if you change from being from concentrating on drama into doing something good, you are going to piss off some people. But the thing is, it may look bad, you may lose people, but the thing is, in time you'll gain better, more productive growth.
Yeah. If you notice, the channels that concentrate on the paranormal investigation, they grow slowly, but they constantly grow. If you look at channels that just stick to the drama and the toxicness of it all, they grow quickly, but they hit a certain level and they never go any farther.
Yeah.
You know, there's a big burst of growth while everybody piles in to see the action. But then once that element of people are all in there, there's nobody else to go in to watch. So in the end, it's just self-destructive. You know, but I'm really glad to see that Simon, you know, he's genuinely wanting to come back into doing the investigation. Because,
Yeah,
you know, I think it'll be good for him.
He's very excited about it, actually.
Yeah.
Gillian told me to move the camera closer to the mouth. She wants to have a giggle again. But, yeah, I mean, like, the thing is, too, you've got these paranormal police who think they can shit on people that do shady things. That's okay, but the thing is, there is a risk of scaring the life out of people that are wanting to come into the paranormal and are going to make that's the problem. That's the problem that we can face. That you have people that are, you know, they're starting up a channel, they're a bit nervous, they are going to make mistakes, they're new to the paranormal, new to equipment and stuff, and new to techniques and that, and they are going to fuck up, and they're going to be afraid to mess up in case somebody calls them out on it.
Yeah, exactly.
And then at the end of the day, who are these people to police the paranormal?
Yeah. Well, it's like I said earlier, you know, nobody's an expert on the paranormal. Nobody can say they definitively know what's right and what's wrong.
Yeah.
So how the hell can you police something that is not actually proven one way or the other? But, and for anybody to sit there and say, we think this, so it's right. Like I say, they're either deluding themselves, deluding us, or both.
Yeah, I do understand that some people sort of need to be called out because they are putting the whole paranormal community at risk.
Yeah.
I mean, like, there has been a time where people in other countries have been laughing at the UK that there's been that much drama caused over here. You know, and that needed to be called out. That, you know, I understand that, but the thing is, what happens when it just goes too far? Do you know? And then, as well as that, you've got these, you know, people that are calling out and critiquing with no experience of their own.
Yeah, definitely.
Armed with just opinions and no experience.
And that is all we can say any of us have in this field. All we have got is opinions and theories.
Yeah.
You know, and that is all any of us have got.
You know, and it's very, very sad. I've called out a few people. You know, I've called out Steve Huff on a number of occasions, and every time I've done that, the views go shooting up. You know, because drama sells, and unfortunately, that's just the situation on this platform. And the thing is, there's a risk of this platform turning into a social media.
Yeah.
Which is going to be a very, very bad thing.
Yeah, definitely. Totally agree with you on that one, Sam.
Because, you know, I have Facebook, and I haven't looked at my Facebook for a very, very long time. Because, you know, my list of friends and stuff, I look down through the chat, and all they're doing is posting up negative things about politics and stuff. I don't give a shit about politics. It does, you know, and I don't. What happens down the road, it's got nothing to do with me. You know, I've got enough stuff in my own life to sort out and stuff. And, you know, I just felt more at peace by not having Facebook, you know?
Yeah.
Yes, I post my videos up on my pages and stuff, and that I don't spend too much time with it, you know, on my personal page and stuff like that. The thing is, the YouTube, when you look at the Elysium thing, and you look at J Station, and you look at some of the drama that's been happening UK wise, it's turned into a kind of a social media, you know,
war.
Yeah,
it's a war, Sam.
You know, and it can become too much. And it'll come to a stage where somebody will call out somebody that is inexperienced and has made mistakes, not on purpose, but in the learning process, and put them off the paranormal altogether. And actually the drama and all this stuff that's been going on has actually put me off going out. So, you know, there was a stage there where I actually says to you, is it all worth it? I'm just thinking of taking it.
I know.
Do you know? But the thing is, the best thing to do is just avoid it altogether and just do your own thing.
Yeah, best thing to do.
You know, I just anybody that's been associated with drama in the past, I keep it away, because you don't know when it's going to come back or whatever. You know.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, if your purpose is that you wanted to document your paranormal investigations, do that. You know, don't bring that environment into your channel, because it'll just destroy it.
Totally agree.
You know, and I have been guilty of calling a few people out on that. And you know, yes, it brought in views and stuff like that. But the thing is, there's other people saying, you know, just do your own thing. Just forget about these other people. The only thing is, sometimes we have to call one or two of these people out, because
there are boundaries crossed sometimes, and people do need to be made aware. The only time I tend to call people out is when I know that people are using the platform as a springboard to make money off people in a big way. You know, I've got no problem with channels taking donations and stuff like that. But the only problem I've got is when channels are deliberately being run to manipulate people into handing money over. You know, I think donation should be a voluntary thing. They shouldn't be psychologically induced.
Yeah, I mean, if there is people out there that would love to have the paranormal as their job, just people.
Two daughters found dead in garage.
There's people out there that want to have the paranormal as their job. There's people out there that want the paranormal as their job, and that's a great thing. You know, because, you know, if that's your interest and you have that as a job, it's the best job in the world. But then you have these certain people that I mentioned earlier on who are making money of grieving people.
Yeah, and that's where I'll draw the line on it.
Yeah.
Right, Sam, I'm going to have to love you and leave you. You've been on 2.5 hours. You've done well.
Wow. You know, I find it difficult to drum up a conversation, because I still have difficulty reading and stuff like that. So for you to come on and drum up the conversation and help along, you know, it helped me today, because I was bored, and you know, it's a good wee chat, because I haven't spoken to anybody in a couple of days. You know?
It's always nice when you do streams with somebody else, because you can bounce ideas off each other.
Yeah, so enjoy the background, because I don't think I'm going to have that on my next stream. It just was too distracting, but it was funny at the same time.
It was. Right, so I'll say have a great night, everybody, and thank you for having me on, Sam.
Yeah, thank you very much for all the people that came on, and we will try and get into a little bit of a schedule. I'll try and come on more often. We'll try and be more organized. We'll try to come up with topics, and we'll try to plan our streams and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know, I haven't been on. I've been only on once every couple of weeks and that. But, you know, I have a studio here. I'm going to try and make use of it. I'm going to try to be on more on that, because, you know, sometimes when I'm sick, I can't get out on that. And this is my only way of communication. So, you know, thanks very much for everybody that came on tonight. And thank you, Brett, for coming on with us.
Thank you for having me on, and thank you for coming in, everybody.
Yeah. You know, look forward to 2020, where hopefully the weather will be good and we'll get out to places and we'll have nice content and stuff like that, and just continue on doing our own thing, you know. Folks, big, massive thanks, and enjoy the rest of your evening.
Good night, all.
Bye-bye. Now, do I end stream?
Yes.
I end stream, you stay on, yeah?
Mhm.
Yeah, for a couple of minutes until you go off, yeah. Night, people. Bye-bye.